Good afternoon. Chairwoman Marks, Chairman Nolan, Representing Members, Rep. Vale, and Senator Gordon, thank you so much for having us here today. What I would like to do is yield my time to Veteran and Master Sergeant William Leuck. He's here to discuss with you the act concerning military training and experience of the driver's license endorsement to operate fire apparatus, raised Bill 5404.
Hi, good afternoon. I appreciate the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee raising House Bill 5404, an act concerning military training and experience and the driver's license endorsement to operate fire apparatus. As a veteran, current National Guard soldier and volunteer certified firefighter and EMT, I'd like to express my support for the bill. However, I would also like to add some comments for some additional details. I'd like to express that I am not representing any of my employers at any level of government. I am here as a private citizen. Any opinions are solely my own. My name is William Leuck. I am from Griswold. And although the bill addresses a very small portion of people that I know in the military, it addresses firefighters that are in the military and actually actively serving as military firefighters. It doesn't express the totality of the training that firefighters and other service members in the military have to go through to get qualified on various vehicles. I did submit a written testimony, which is a lot more in detail, but basically when we do military training, we go through a process of a classroom environment where we're dealing with truck safety, inspections. We go from there, we go to like road terrain and things like that. We talk about all the same processes and things like that that we would normally do. And then we go into an exterior location where we do a skills test, where we provide evidence to our instructors that we know how to do proper safety checks, that we know how to use the vehicle and equipment, and then we take a road test and show that we can prove how to drive. Essentially, that becomes a military driver's license after a commander says, I've reviewed your training and I've talked to you. I believe you should be able to drive this piece of equipment, and then you get issued a military driver's license. The types of vehicles that we have are comparable to civilian equipped vehicles, such as the tractor trailer trucks and large box trucks and flatbeds that you see on the roads every day. Essentially, we're driving the same types of vehicles, if not heavier and much more encumbered. And the equivalent to a fire truck is a CDL Class B. There is a process right now for a military service member or someone who has recently left the military to convert their military driver's license to a CDL in the state of Connecticut, utilizing this application for a military skills test waiver, which is under the authority of Article 136 Uniform Code of Military Justice or Title 10 of U.S. Code 1044A. Essentially, this application allows the service member to apply for a waiver to not have to do a skills test, but they still would have to go through a knowledge test to attain a CDL. Using a CDL, you can go to a fire department and ask a chief and the training process to operate a fire truck. The other way you can operate a fire truck is if you have a Q endorsement on your personal license. Currently, there's no process for a military and service member to use applications such as this to. Okay. Essentially, I'm asking that the language be put in there to allow a similar process to get a Q using military driver's license. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony. Rep. Vale?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Representative Haynes. So I'm just going to break this down real quick so make sure I'm understanding. So you're in the military, you have the equivalent of a CDL, and the state provides you, and so I assume that the training is equal or greater than what the state requirement would be.
Yes, sir.
And because of that, you can fill out that form you showed us to transfer your whatever distinction would have in the military. I don't know if they call it a CDL or not, to be able to get a CDL in Connecticut. Is that correct? A Class B CDL in Connecticut.
It would allow us to get a waiver for the skills test. So it would be basically, it would cover the training and then the
Yes.
skills test, but you'd still have to go to do the state written test.
The written test, but you
Correct,
wouldn't be required to take a course,
Correct.
at a New England Tractor Trailer or something like that to get your Class B,
Correct, sir.
because you have the adequate experience and they've determined that that is equal to what the requirement would be to get a CDL. Now, and so that already exists.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying is now this Q endorsement, can you explain to me what a Q endorsement is?
So a Q endorsement is intended to, it's not a CDL. It's a lower level, lower class. It goes on your private license and it authorizes you to operate a fire apparatus. It does not say you can go jump in a truck and drive. It says you're authorized. You have to get trained and then certified by a department chief and said, you are now authorized and you are endorsed to drive this specific truck.
So you could have both a CDL and a Q endorsement and be able to do both.
I believe
sure,
so.
right?
You wouldn't need it, sir.
Yeah.
If you have a CDL.
If you have a CDL, you wouldn't need the Q endorsement. So like you said, so the Q endorsement. So in that same regard, you have had the equal to or greater than training in the military. That should suffice. Is there a written test with the Q endorsement?
No, sir.
So it would just be the experience that you would be able to get, and the chief signs off on that you had that experience.
The chief would accept a Q endorsement
Yeah.
and then say, okay, now let me train you
Okay.
on my truck.
All right. So
before
I
you
just
can
want
drive.
so basically, so now we're looking to add a form like you have for the CDL. It's basically the same thing. It's already in place. So we're not reinventing the wheel. It's just another way to look at it. That's probably just been an oversight. It's not something anyone's brought to our attention before. And sounds good to me. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Rep. Delaney and then Rep. Leno.
Afternoon, Master Sergeant. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, sir.
I just have a comment and a quick question. First is a comment as a fellow NCO myself. I just wanted to thank you for your bravery and for your testimony. My question is and the MOS is 13J, right? For fire control specialist.
I'm not specific on the exact one, but that sounds about right. It's a specialized engineer.
Roger that, Master Sergeant. For the MOS's qualifications, after you get to AIT, and then you're going from your E5s to your E6, E6 to E7, is there recertification processes at all for your fire specialist MOS, the core competencies for there?
I am not a fire specialist. I'm a logistician, so I don't know the specifics of their MOS. However, all of our MOSs have past AIT. You have successive levels of leadership training to go through. As far as equipment operation, once you're qualified on a piece of equipment, whatever type of truck it is, you have to do sustainment training, or what we call a check ride, to keep your certification current. And also, every new commander that comes in, you have to do a new commander's interview, and they have to approve that, hey, I know you've got the training. I see you have experience. I'm good for you to drive my trucks.
Well, as a holder of the 46 Sierra MOS, I couldn't agree more with the spirit of this legislation, and I want to thank you for coming up to testify on behalf of your soldiers, Master Sergeant.
Thanks, sir.
Cool.
Oh,
Okay, Rep. Leno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative, thank you for being here. Master Sergeant Leuck, very nice to see you again.
you too, sir.
Welcome to Hufford. Just again, for the record, what's your current rank in the military and what branch?
Master Sergeant in the Army National Guard,
And how many years have you served in the Army National Guard?
17.
How many years of fire service do you have?
I started in the fire service in 2003.
And that's exclusively civilian fire service.
Correct.
Fire,
Volunteer specifically.
Can you please tell me what military certifications you have as far as being able to operate vehicles
Sure. So, of the vehicles in this type of class that are similar to a fire truck, I am currently certified to drive an MTV, which is a medium tactical vehicle. It's essentially it's a 3-axle vehicle with either a flatbed or some sort of box on the back, but it's usually up armored and heavy. I give you a picture you can show around, but it's essentially the same size and shape roughly as a traditional fire truck.
Great, thank you. And again, you were kind enough in your written testimony, which I have, which you submitted. So it's essentially the MTV is this type of apparatus here, and which is I mean, this is a pretty good size apparatus to me. This looks similar to, if not even more intense than a fire truck, a ladder truck, a water truck. Let me ask you this, sir, Master Sergeant. In the military, do you to have the MTV or the LMTV or the M915, which is this one, any of these here, do you have to be in a military fire department or be in a require you to drive a military fire truck in order to have one of these?
The only one you'd have to drive a military fire truck is, there's a picture on there, the last one. All the other ones are non-fire trucks. They're cargo movers, or haulers or other specialized equipment on the back. So it's not fire department related or specific.
Okay, so for an MTV,
Mhm.
which you have, sir, you do not have to be in the military fire department in order to have an MTV.
Correct.
Let's talk about Connecticut. The Connecticut CDL requirements. If me, as somebody who was never in the military, not a veteran, has none of these certifications, I'm required to do two things, and correct me if I'm wrong. You have to take a skills test, which is essentially a road test, correct?
You'd have to do a training course, and get authorized to do the skills test, which is safety checks and also the actual road test driving. Correct.
That's the first component.
That's the first part.
Then there's a Connecticut knowledge test.
Correct.
That's the second part.
Correct.
Now, you, sir, who has a CDL, you, sir, who has an MTV military certification, if you wanted to go for your CDL, current law dictates that you would be exempt from the skills road test, that first component that we just described that you answered. You would be exempt from that because be able to get a waiver because you have this qualification, the MTV, correct?
As long as I meet all the requirements on this form, my commander could sign off and approve me for the waiver.
So again, this waiver here, which is a two-part form, it requires you and your commanding officer to sign off on this.
Correct.
You would be exempt from the skills test or the road test under the CDL.
Correct.
Okay. Now, a Q endorsement, and Representative Vail already asked a question. You gave some information on that. For the Q endorsement, which essentially would be a step towards getting you into a fire truck and be able to drive a fire truck or fire apparatus, you would only to get that Q endorsement from the state, you're required to only take the skills test or road test, which is the first component of the CDL, correct?
Correct. After attending a Q course, you would then be eligible to take the state Q road test, which is the same as the CDL. It's the exact same test.
That's where I'm going. So the CDL skills or road test and the Q skills or road test, and that process is identical for a CDL and a Q.
Yes, sir.
Exactly the same.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so where I'm just trying to understand this. So the Q endorsement, that's a lower classification than a CDL.
Correct.
Okay, so in the skills test, which is exactly the same for a CDL and a Q endorsement, if you're going for the CDL, you're completely exempt. Well, pending you get this waiver filled out by yourself and the commanding officer, and you meet this criteria. If you have this, which you have, you're exempt under the CDL.
Correct. And then I have to take the test.
Right, but for the Q endorsement, it's silent as far as being exempt from the same exact skills test.
Correct. I would have to go through a Q course and then do a skills test.
Okay. So to me, if all it requires is to pass the road test, the skills test, and you can show the MTV and you have that waiver and you have the certification for the MTV, you should get that Q endorsement in an instant.
I agree. I agree.
And the law is quite silent on that currently.
Correct.
Okay. How long, this in your case, the MTV, how long are military certifications of these kind on this list good for once you go into veteran status?
Once you have transitioned out of the military, as it states on the very header of the application, it's a 12-month period.
For 12 months?
For 12 months after you've transitioned out.
Okay, and sometimes it can, you're waiting around for quite some time to be able to take a Q course for somebody to have to go through the course and go through that component that we talked about.
Correct.
Can actually exceed 12 months.
Potentially, yes, sir.
It would seem that now, so our military who may be even transitioning into veteran status that may want to go into fire service, either in the paid capacity or even do it in a volunteer capacity, by them having to wait around like this to take this course, this can actually hurt recruitment. Number one, on the fire side, right, with the fire departments, does that hurt recruitment and retention of firefighters?
Absolutely. If this was added as a benefit, it would actually improve our chances of recruiting skilled, competent drivers for our fire departments, which are already hurting with numbers.
Okay, so again, if you get once you get the Q endorsement on the current, do you automatically jump right in the fire truck and start driving it?
No, you have to present the credentials to the chief or the training officer and go through the training program on each specific apparatus. Once you've done the training, you'd have to show to the chief or the chief's designee that you're competent and fully capable of functioning and operating that piece of apparatus. And then the chief would say, you're good to drive. You are authorized to drive this truck. And then you'd probably be starting on another truck because each truck is different. They have different abilities, capabilities, and equipment.
Okay, so once you get that Q endorsement, once you go see the chief, which in your case is the gentleman over your right shoulder, my
Correct.
left, will this legislation and what we're trying to accomplish here, will that in any way take away or handicap that part of the process?
If we can make the Q equivalency, that would not handicap the process at all. It would actually improve the process and make it so that the chiefs can move people along quicker to get them in the trucks and driving trucks, because we can have a lot of firefighters, but if we don't have a truck to get them there, we can't do anything.
Got it. And, so there has been some concerns that I've heard that this somehow will take away authority from the chiefs, from the individual local departments to decide who they want to put in their truck. Do you have any comment on that?
I would say the exact opposite. It would give them a better group of people that they can choose from, but still, you can't just jump in the truck. You have to get certified and qualified by the training program within each department on that specific truck before you're even endorsed by the chief to operate that vehicle. So there is no loss of ability or authority. What it does is actually improves the chief's ability.
Very good. I appreciate that. I guess one final question, then I'll close. In the current language we have drafted here, is again, it's talking about the person who has to be able to have a waiver for the Q endorsement. You have to show that you were in a military fire department.
Correct.
And again, the MTV, which would give you which you get the waiver for the skills test, which is required for a Q endorsement. If you have the MTV, you're not necessarily in a military fire department.
Correct.
But again, definitely gives you the ability to be waived from a skills test as it relates to a CDL, and it's also exactly mirrors what a Q skills test looks like.
Correct.
Okay. Master Sergeant, thank you so much, number one, for your service to our country, our state, and our town, for your years of volunteer service, also standing up for us abroad and right here at home. So it's an honor having you and hosting you today, and your testimony has been invaluable. Thank you very much. Nothing further, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Madam
Rep.
Chair.
Oh, Heffernan, I'm sorry. Hi, yep, Rep. Heffernan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Master Sergeant. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, sir.
You got 20 years in the fire service?
About that, sir.
I just retired with about 30. So I'm one of your people. I don't have any problem with you guys getting the Q endorsement. I think it's a great idea. I just want to qualify that where it says to operate a fire apparatus, as you've touched upon, we know that these are highly specialized vehicles, a pumper, ladder truck, and the Q endorsement that we're talking about granting you is more just for driving the vehicle. And when we say operate in fire service, it's a much broader term, so you would have to be qualified on, say, the pumper and know how to use the pump and where all the equipment is and things of that nature. Same thing with a ladder truck, how to fly the aerial, and good operator knows every piece of equipment on there, what it does. So that those are highly skilled spots. So when we talk about the Q endorsement, I just wanted to just qualify that, as you mentioned, that's just for the driving part. It doesn't affect your skills as a pump operator or an aerial operator or that type of thing.
Correct. Essentially, you could look at it as the Q opens the door to you being able to drive and also operate those vehicles.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks, sir.
Any other members? Okay, Rep. Hayes, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as a municipal leader, it's very difficult for us to populate our volunteer fire departments as well as our career. And if there are people out there that are qualified, somewhat qualified, ahead of what the other people that are coming to us in regards to a position, and we can help our military and putting them in positions where they can help towns out, this is a one step to do that. And I appreciate that anything you guys can do to push this bill forward and make this a good thing to have. It will help our municipalities as well. So I just wanted to put that in there. Thank you.
Do you know, Rep. Haynes, has this been in front of VMA before?
Has this been in front of this committee before?
Yeah, or has it been proposed before? Do you know?
I can't speak to that. Maybe Representative Lanu knows.
No. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't
All right.
know.
I learned a lot. That's why I love public hearings. You learn so much. So
Thank
thank you
you.
both for being here.